These are professional sports leagues whose job it is to play sports and to make money doing that. And so even if they support those causes, sometimes simply financial contributions, you're right, sometimes someone could pick up a phone. Those connections mean something. But financial contribution tells you what you need to know. So, for example, Michael Jordan's not the most articulate guy extemporaneously about these issues or others. But the Jordan brand gave $100 million over the next 10 years. And whatever you think to fight racial injustice, and for whatever you think about, well, he has all this money. If all the basketball owners did that, that'd be $3 billion over the next 10 years. So it's also the level of commitment. You know, when the NFL says $250 million, I go, oh, okay, that's different already, because that's a real piece of money. You could always do more, but too frequently in the past they've done less, and their financial commitment shows they haven't really been committed.
You know, Max, it brings up an interesting point, because you do have a lot of owners that have a lot of different political interests, and those political interests then bleed into a lot of their businesses, right, in order for them to continue to make the money at the level they've been able to produce. But if you're looking at the scenario as players, like it also sometimes over the last couple of weeks has been a little bit frustrating to me, because we're still looking at things individually siloed. What I mean by that is we're still looking at NBA players have to be on the same page with the decision that they make. And I get it because of the season and pandemic, and MLS players and NFL players. Man, I wish there was a way that we can form a players coalition where all players were united regardless of their sport. Now, maybe that's too lofty of a goal, but man, it sure would be powerful if we thought through what scenarios are that we wanted to activate, and all players between NFL, hockey, basketball, MLB, all sports would just align that they were on the same page about what were the wants that we felt that we needed in order for us to continue to push this agenda moving in the right direction. It seems like we want to compartmentalize everything because we want to label everybody. Damn, it would be something if we all got on the same page together, because then I think you would be in unison with the owners instead of forcing each individual league through players deciding whether they want to play or not. It would be one collective movement together.
Jay, what I would say to you in direct response to that thing is that we have to understand what it takes to come together. For example, it's incredibly important that we understand that there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, I keep repeating this ad nauseum, and I've had to say this to Max on several occasions. I never disagree with Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Hell, I was on Good Morning America the next morning. I was on First Take talking about he's absolutely right to take a knee. He didn't violate any bylaws of the NFL. It's perfectly within his right as an American citizen. He wasn't disrespecting the flag. It wasn't about the flag. Hell yeah, he had a right to do it. What I asked thereafter was, what is your plan? And it wasn't the next day or even the next month. It was after months had passed, and it's important to recognize that. I didn't have a problem with Eric Reed's position. I had a problem with Eric Reed looking like he was ready to fight Malcolm Jenkins before tip-off at 1 o'clock on an NFL field. That was my issue. But there's no denying that these are young warriors that took up the mantle on behalf of us as a people, and they deserve our gratitude more than anything else. But again, the other issue that you would challenge them on is, excuse me, but now that we're in this with you, do you think that that's the way? What about this way? You got to remember, in the 60s, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X at one point in time didn't see eye to eye on how to challenge the system. One was nonviolent, another was by any means necessary. Pick your poison or pick your methodology. The point is, throughout history, it doesn't matter who it is. The fact is that if you care about the same thing and ultimately your agenda is aligned, the avenues with which you choose to get there can be different. And even if you disagree, that does not mean that you excoriate one or the other just because their method is different than yours. That, to me, is what we have to remember as black people. All of us are in this together, but we might not want to take the same path. Some people might protest. Some people might be over the airwaves communicating with millions. Some people might be on Capitol Hill doing their thing. There's several ways to skin a cat. We have to remember that instead of acting like everybody is supposed to march to the same tune and the same step. When you do that, people see you coming and they can plan to stop you. But when you're coming from a multitude of avenues, it's far more difficult to derail you. We need to remember that.